Welcome back, everybody. It's time for the Daily Nipah. I know you've been waiting for this all day, and here it is. Rika Frude Simulator 24. Give it the edition. You can download it up here. Socksmakepeoplesexy.itch.io. And we got our Nipatsies down here. You know the drill. You know what we're doing here. Let's give Rika the floor. Thank you, Rika. One good Nipah to start the day, and we get an interesting roll even to start the day. Okay. It's a little tough getting up this morning. I'm staying up pretty late last night because I don't know. Just kind of feeling pretty good last night. And I just, I'm watching some more Odd Taxi. We finished the Poodle cast. It's exciting. So fun. There really is so much to offer from that show. Even going through it again, I'm finding so much stuff. It's very interesting listening to the dub. Because some of the characters just don't feel like they should. Just fine. They all do a great job, it's just... This is why I tend to like subs a lot more than dubs, because I feel like subs get, because you're listening to it in its native region. So, the emotion comes across more appropriately is the best way I could say it. The feeling of the characters are much richer. The subtleties in their voice is a little more on point. Especially for Otokawa in Odd Taxi. I don't mind the VA English actor whatsoever. It's not the right vibe, though. It's not quite the right vibe for Otokawa, which is done masterfully by the Japanese VA, which is further continued on the audio drama that we were talking about yesterday. And if you're at all curious about the show, you should definitely watch it. And if you're curious about the podcast, I would suggest watching the show alongside listening to the podcast. Because all our way through it, we talk about what we think is going to happen, how we think these characters are shaping up, what's going to happen next. It was such an incredible journey. And I'm really happy that I got to do it. But I still like watching the dub because I don't have to quite pay as close attention anymore. And I can start, looking at the backgrounds a little bit more. And God, there's so many shots I notice early on in the show where there's so much happening and you don't know anything yet. And it's so nice. It's such a... I love noir. There's such a cool mystery aspect in noirs that I get so hooked on them when they're done right. And I don't think I've seen anything done quite as right as Odd Taxi when it comes to that. Honestly, it's just so well made start to finish. This is something that was started and completed before they even started it. Because they had an idea, and every frame fits into that idea. The audio drama fits perfectly in side by side with the show. And I don't know. No spoilers today from me about it, just because it's so good. I would just suggest going to see it yourself. As I am watching it again, even. And I don't do that. I really don't. I think it was a lack of emotional impact on a lot of media I've been getting into. And, like, a lot of the newer movies that come out just don't do it anymore. Because they're so fake. And it's just obnoxious. Like, I can understand when a movie's trying to say something, but it feels like they're treating me like a child when they're saying it. Like, I understand basic concepts, and I like involved characters and stories where people have flaws and aren't perfect, and like only do the right thing all the time, and like, yeah, it's a beautiful thing and all, but it's not at all based in realism. The reality is that we're all a little fucked up, and that's just kind of how life is. Um, and that's what I really, really like about a good show. Like, when you can get invested in a drama that has depth in their characters, you're intrigued to see what happens next. You're scared for them. You worry about them. And you cry with them when they're in, bad states because you've connected with them on some sort of emotional level. It's not just fireworks and jingly keys, it's deep-rooted emotion, impact, and thought, which is something that I've craved so long. And it truly is just one of the best shows I think I've watched. Like, it, as we said in the podcast, it kind of just supersedes genres in general. Like, there's when there's a well-made piece of art, despite its medium, it can transcend everything and become more, It can become like, oh, it's not just a good anime, it's not just a good movie, it's not just a good TV series. It's just good. And that's what I liked about Taxi. The story was brilliantly laid out all the way to the finish. There's like nary an unused scene in that show. The shots they're based, the where the characters are in each scene, which you may think more of like a movie, but the shots in this were just so well thought out. And on my second playthrough, since I'm like looking at a lot of the background now, so I don't have to focus so much on what they're saying with captions and stuff. And like the artwork in the background, the smoothness of it, the intentionalness of it it's so good. And I just would like to share how great that experience was, really. Like, it just really is that fun. And maybe I'm talking it up a lot. Maybe I am. And that's fine. That's just how it made me feel. That's how the whole experience made me feel. Happy, excited, wonderful, and fun. And impactful. Pieces of media you remember from when you were young is either because of rose-tinted glasses or because it was very impactful on you. You don't just remember things sometimes. There are good connections to them and meaning behind them. And so what's gonna stick in my brain and kind of like fiddle around in there and just take up positive thinking space instead of, being forced into like a state of sadness or something from being too sad to think about anything else. I get to fill my head with wonderful thoughts about the characters of the show, how well they interact with each other, the little spot. Like, what I like in shows and stuff is little things that characters do to show their affection and show how human they are, or people they are, how personal, empathic, and stuff they are, and just how they, in general, flow with the world around them. And that's why, like, no medium that's just consistently all nothing but happiness is just gonna be boring. And everything that's just considerably hellish, could be interesting, but also, it's the balance. Much like in life, it's the balance. And yeah, I was just watching it last night, and Otokawa comes on, and he's like, I'm just so tired. It's the most relatable line, maybe in the history of anything. Because he's just lying on the floor. This is... I can't want to spoil it. But he's a bit of an emotional rut at the moment. And the heaviness of that line... Like, at surface value, yeah, absolutely. But how much heaviness is behind what he's saying is what makes it truly impactful. I'm just so tired. And it's just... You know, he's not getting the meds he may need, or he's not getting something in his life he may need, or... just tired of the day-to-day, or too much emotion to really center themselves, so they just lay on the floor and just say, I'm just so tired. It is unbelievably relatable, and I kind of sat there and paused it last night, and it was just, I had to take a picture for one, because it was just like, I had to share this, this thought that was happening at like 2 in the morning. Ooh, 444433, we're getting somewhere. Nipah! And it's just, it's stuff like that. It's always those little moments that characters have that are always so much bigger than any grand scene. If you can pack emotion into what you're doing and you display it in a way that affects your audience, you're doing it right. The best shows are the ones that make you feel and think. That's why, what was it? We were talking about the death of critical thinking in media and stuff not too long ago, and I can't help but think there's some truth to that, because a lot of people, when they see stuff, just don't get it, and instead of, like, trying to figure out what's wrong, they just don't care, and they're just like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter. Which is its own set of problems, of course, but you gotta care. But yeah, The Odd Taxi is really a beautiful show. It really was something I needed. Just an awakening to watching something that can make you feel. I love movies, and I love TV shows. For instance, House, I want to say it was season 4. Those final 2 episodes of that season are the ones that stick with me. What a fucking emotional roller coaster that was. And then it got really bad after that. But the first 4 seasons, plus the absolute wrenching end of season 4. Holy shit. I remember that. And I remember a lot because the show was very funny. But it also had a lot of genuine, solid moments in it, which is why I enjoyed it. Breaking Bad as well had a lot of emotional moments in it. That just leave a big impact on you, you know? When you're watching shows like that and something tragic happens to the character that you've been sitting along for so long with, you feel that. Because they've made a character that is real to you now. And now that it's real to you, you want that character to succeed. You want them to be... You want the good ending for them, even if they're doing something bad. Like, every Spider-Man villain in history is, like, somebody who just had, like, a bad lot on life, and eventually just turns out, one way or the other, that they end up sacking themselves or something to help somebody. But, like, point being, and which I like villains that aren't comically evil. A lot of villains, quote unquote, think they're doing it for the right reason. Not necessarily for bad ones either. I'm not talking about, you know, war, genocide, or anything like that. Like, a lot of these villain characters are trying to simply do what they think is best to help out. For as corny and face value as Marvel is, I think Thanos was actually a pretty interesting character. It was easily the best movie in, like, a while there, was when Thanos eventually gets all the stones, of course. And he literally blinks out half the universe from it. And that's how, like, you just see all these superheroes just, like, fade out and go. And he didn't do it because he hated superheroes. He didn't do it because he wanted to be evil. His purpose of that was thinning out the galaxy would make it easier for everybody to get along better, essentially. And, like, the idea of that is obviously awful, because you eliminated half the people in the universe, but, like, to them, it's not about the elimination, it's about what happens afterwards, and how, like, our collective society could grow stronger and better together, kind of thing. And that's what makes villains actually interesting, other than, ha ha ha, I want the whole world to burn and die and explode. Is, like, it can be fun like that, sure. Even the Joker had more about them than that, though. Like, the Joker, for instance, wanted to send messages of how absurd shit is, like, just because. They don't care about doing evil acts to be evil. They wanted to show how clownish life is, essentially. And it's just little details in shows and movies and anime or whatever you're watching that really brings these characters into not into, like, a whole character, not just a caricature of what we think people are, which is incredibly important when it comes to that critical thinking thing we were talking about before, because a lot of people act like black or white, yes or no, is, like, the only solution to a lot of things. And for some things, I absolutely agree with. But we gotta slow our roll a little bit sometimes. And understand people can make mistakes and learn from them. Um, I think it's unhealthy to sit there and be like... it depends on the individual. It depends on the situation, of course. But just, like, completely alienating someone for, like, one mistake. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got it straight. Is not a healthy thing. It is not. That's too much negativity you're holding on to in the first place. I really have to, Oopsie. Sorry, turning this again. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, anyway. Moving on. But the depth of a character and the depth of a story are way more important than a lot of other aspects that get more priority in movies and such. And like a lot of films these days feel so artificial. Even the good ones. It doesn't feel like an artist's rendition anymore. It feels like a group of people got into a room, talked about the idea of a good movie, and then used Chat GPT to print out a script and then modified it to their best interest to hit each specific marketplace perfectly. It's gross. It's gross behavior and it makes no sense. People's dreams don't start with fucking accumulating money from different countries for their art project. It's fake. And something I really always don't like is fake. Oh my god. Now they're straight. There we go. Where was I? Oh yes. The fakeness that movies feel like now is nothing to do with the visual effects. Visual effects look fantastic everywhere. In games, in movies. They just look great. There's no reason to really... we don't need them to be all that much better. So I'm never worried about that anymore. All I care about is if it's fun, exciting, or interesting in some combination of all that. And I think, like, all the movies we've watched are just... Like, the only time I've watched a movie and I'm like, man, that was a good experience. Like, rarely some new movies would do that, but it's always watching movies, even newer movies from years ago, because you can see the love and the fucking craft behind it. Like, that's where all these good stories come from. That's where all this good art comes from. It's from the people who put the time and passion into these projects and want to put out the best thing they can to reach an audience of, you know, of people that would enjoy their work. No artist that I could ever think of ever made an art piece from the soul. Of course, with that, like, of course, there's like art pieces that are made specifically for money. You can get commissioned. That's fine. That's completely fine. What I'm talking about is something original made from that artist, from them to share with the world. Their idea, their universe that they create for you to see. And all the best ones It always keeps you guessing. Whether they're good or not, whether they're gonna pull through, can they beat their demons? What are their demons? Are they relatable demons? Probably. Most stories start with a relatable protagonist. Not always. It doesn't need to always be a thing. But like basic stuff like that, like this all comes from people getting inspiration from people previously. That is how humans work. We get better and better at everything through the ages and through life. And it shows. Like, our athletes are better than ever. Some of our music is more technical than it's ever been, for sure. The grand movie making things like Lord of the Rings was fucking amazing. Like, I love Lord of the Rings movies. I love the cheesy fantasy style like that. Once again, bunch of good characters. Hold on 1 second, I gotta post this. Alright, but, like, the grand things people have done, now that they couldn't have before, and whenever we actually put support behind good things that help humanity, we do so many good things. We really do. There's always hope. It's so soul-crushing when the establishment is just fucking holding you back, you know? Like, it's set in such a way where it amplifies all the phobias and hatred for each other. It's the exact opposite of what humanity needs. Anybody who has been actively nurtured and cared for and looked after, and there's a nice atmosphere going around and stuff like that, and you get your needs, like, whoa, that was fucking close. Holy shit. Holy fuck, is that close? Wowzers. That's the closest roll yet. Oh my god. We literally were 1 dot away. That's a new PB. Oh my god, that's... Wow. That's the second best miracle she can have. Look at her blood, it's shinier than normal. Wow. We only have 17 or 13 more fates, too. It's been a run. It's been a fun daily Nipah. It has been. Boom. But yeah, it's about the little things, as always. And all this, what this sums up to. Humanity could definitely look towards each other a lot more than looking to force or control each other. Probably the biggest issue in human history is the need to control and feel powerful. It's gross and narcissistic, and it almost never leads to anything worthwhile. That's a Nipah, baby! Our third Nipah! Woo! Our third unique Nipah. come on. Nope, 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 nope. There we go. Nipah. Oh my god. It's a third Nipah. All right. Hey, what's up, Armor Guy? We got another Nipah folly. Look, the grim game is still grim. Japanese ni equals 2. Ni. 2. So you got a ni. Ni Potsy. That's great. Oh, it's our third Nipah. Oh, I don't know if you saw, but I got 5 6s and a 5 like 3 rolls before this. We almost had the miracle. Yeah. Character in Higurashi calls her brother Nini. She decided to care again. Yeah, she did. And this is all within like the last 20 rolls of the day. We're almost at 6,200 fates here. What a hell of a daily Nipah. What the hell is happening? Came with a... came late today, Rika. We almost had a Rika number. I should have looked at when that one roll was rolled. But holy... We had this whole great discussion about Odd Taxi and the emotional state of art and what it means to make a piece that's memorable versus flashy. And then we started talking about the political landscape and how it's not good for humanity. And then Rika's like, hey, here's a Nipah. I think she's showing her appreciation, actually. I think she understands. I appreciate that too, Rika. We all do. Alright. What a daily Nipah today, huh? We got a third Nipah now. We did it. Okay, we got 6 1s, 6 2s, and 6 5s. We got 5 6s and a 5. That is our current high. We can't have a higher. That's not the top miracle anymore now. So our highest is 29. We're short a 3 Nipah and a 4 Nipah. Nipah. Never gonna forget that now. Nini Potsy. I love it. But that's gonna be it today. Thank you, Rika, for another amazing day. If you'd like to try this yourself, please, by all means, download at the link up top here. socksmakepeoplesexy.itch.io. And you too can get your Nipah adventure on here. We're only 6,200 fates in. And we already have 3 Nipahs. We're doing pretty good. We almost had the miracle today. We almost had the miracle. It's exciting. YouTubers, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Daily Nipah. Back tomorrow for another one. Positive vibes for the rest of your day. Have a wonderful rest of that day as well.